So after about 10 hours of waiting for Dana White to go on Instagram Live, we finally got the announcements that we were waiting for, so I'm about to go over all of them now. Starting with the biggest announcements being that Jack Della Maddalena will be defending his title against Islam Makhachev at UFC 322 inside of New York. Big legacy fight for both guys. You know, both of them are on 10 plus winning streaks, and Islam's obviously a former #1 pound for pound fighter in the world, so. But now he's stepping up to what I consider his greatest opponent in his career and his greatest challenge. JDM is the best boxer in the welterweight division today, and is someone who's able to get out of the clinch really well with his jabs and knees. And for someone like Islam Makhachev, who very famously wears his scars on his face really boldly, and you know, when you see fights like the first Volkanovski fight, can struggle against someone who is smaller than him and is skilled in the grappling, and now for him to be the smaller guy going forward this fight, it will be a really interesting matchup to see if all the hype and all the talk about Islam's wrestling ability will be able to stand up and live to the hype against someone like JDM, who will have the size advantage against him. We also have the women's MMA match of the year as Zhang Weili looks to challenge against Valentina Shevchenko. She moves up, vacates her title. And another true legacy for both women. You know, one is 26-3, the other is 25-4. I've only lost to like a handful of women in UFC. Zhang Weili is someone that I don't think has a lot of problems taking on competitors that can be a bit taller than her. We saw that in the Tatiana Suarez fight. I think if she's able to stay active, able to clinch really well, which are weaknesses against Valentina Shevchenko's game, I think she's able to pull out the win here, unless Shevchenko is just that good of a wrestler. Also on the card is Leon Edwards taking Carlos Prates, man. When I tell you, when I first saw this get announced, I couldn't believe Leon Edwards actually accepted to take this fight. Considering the performance he put on against Sean Brady, and now someone like Carlos Prates coming up with a strong win he had against Jeff Neal, my first thought was obviously that Edwards is going to be like laid out cold, completely flat against Prates. I do think the kicks might be able to keep him at bay for a while, and maybe he can be able to land the jab every once in a while, but Prates is just going to come in, put the pressure on him, throw some strikes at range distance, and before you know it, he's going to keep the action going, just pushing him back further and further against the cage, and before you know, I think Carlos Prates is going to be able to get the win here. Now, also on the Abu Dhabi card, we have Jandiroba versus Dern 2 for the vacant UFC women's strawweight belt. This is a surreal card to see just made in front of me here. Like, this seems like a long time coming for both women to finally be able to get a championship fight. Two elite grapplers that have already faced off once before, but I do think Jandiroba's going to have the advantage here. She's been looking stronger, more competitive, more active, been able to do more stuff on the ground. But I do think it will be a close fight between both women. It'll be a really exciting grappling affair between the two. Finally, Nurmagomedov versus Batista, also at UFC 321. I do think Nurmagomedov has a pretty easy advantage over Batista. I think he's one of the best strikers in the bantamweight division, and the fact that he's able to get out of the clinch really quickly, easily, and then, you know, also the grappling ability of himself is going to be something that Batista's going to have a really hard time coming over. So just initially speaking, I do think Nurmagomedov will be able to get the win over here pretty easily. But overall, some great fights being made. So excited to see how this comes up. I'm so excited for these pay-per-view cards. They actually look really great. And yeah, I look forward to seeing these. Be sure to follow my TikTok and my YouTube channel. See you in the next video. Bye.